Well, that music only means one thing. We're back to Road Gang Radio, live on RadioNemo.com, iHeartRadio, and streaming on YouTube. Jimmy, take it away.
Oh, we will take it away. If you're looking for a big old mashup farrago of Popular Mechanics, Wired, Rolling Stone, and National Geographic, you've come to the right place. This is, by the way, as we kind of figure out the newfangled technologies, the first edition of Education Station here on RadioNemo.com, over at the Tube of You at Radio Nemo, of course on iHeartRadio at Radio Nemo, and everywhere that you want to be. If you head over to the YouTube page, by the way, if you want to get a sense of what that new format is like for Nemo Nation, there's a dynamite interview with both Dean Croak. You can also check out the one with Dan Ronan. They get the gag, man. They jump in, they jump out. It keeps moving, man. It's fast-paced around here. I can't think of a better way. I cannot think of a better way to start off our first education station with, rather than getting into the weeds, but giving the 30,000-foot view and just having a grand old conversation with one of this show's best friends, our friend, CEO and the head honcho over at Carrier's Edge, where they've got the edge, our good friend Jane Jazrawy. Good morning and welcome to #RGR.
Jane!
Good morning. I love it. I love it. This is you got some energy going on there, so you have to rub that off on me.
I'll tell you this, man. We have Tasty Donuts across the street, literally across the street. I took pictures on and put them on the Book of Faces, as well as a couple of my other profile spots. And we're on so much coffee and so much sugar that we'll be dead in a half an hour, but we managed to stay alive just for you, Jane.
100%.
100%. Dre literally is on a fume tank. He is literally on a fume tank. I mean, it's just like going, what? I'm going to be fine. I'll be dead in 15 minutes. So when you hear the thunk, it's Dre's head hitting the table, by the way.
Should I like call emergency services? Like if I hear a thunk, like, get 911?
No, we're going to give Dre his dignity. I'll clean up the mess and then we'll just call.
Maybe like shot of adrenaline to his heart, something like that.
Hey, but you got to put the microphone down.
No, I was going to scream. I was like, don't call nobody, okay? I got a record.
Don't call nobody. Don't tell nobody. Jane, one of the things before we jump into Edumacation Station is I actually on the Tube of You, I'm actually over there chatting because we're in the next gen, as Dave likes to call it. We're asking everybody because we've got Gary Graff coming on later with the 501 essential albums of the 80s. And I'm telling you, man, now I know you're two decades younger than me, but you have a certain connection to the 80s. And so I've actually put down that Life's Rich Pageant by R.E.M., U2's Joshua Tree, and the Minutemen's Double Nickels on the Dime are some of my favorite albums. And I actually got a chance to play Double Nickels for Andre, who's like, we need more of that in our lives. What are some of your 80s go-to albums, Jane Jazrawy?
Peter Gabriel. Was that the 80s?
That's God, that's major 80s. You're talking about Sledgehammer? You talking about that stuff?
Yeah, I love Sledgehammer. I love the video.
Oh.
And I have to, so another one that I don't really listen to anymore, but at the time was Michael Jackson's, what's the one with the zombie?
Thriller.
I loved Thriller. I was, 16. I loved Thriller because I was a really big sort of, it wasn't MTV here in Canada. It was Much Music. It was kind of the Canadian version. But we had, it was the same thing, videos all the time. And I'm a theater kid, and I loved the video for that. And I also loved the video for Sledgehammer.
Oh,
that was really visual.
It's beautiful. The stop motion animation of the pop-up paper and the pop-up book kind of stuff going on there. Dre's got one thing for you, then I got something for you because you have actually joined the singularity of actually picking two albums that have already been picked by different guests.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, that's awesome, by the way. Doodah Man is with you on Peter Gabriel, and our good friend Micah is with you on Thriller, which, by the way, I pointed out is even more important as a video. John Landis directed it. But what's awesome is that it's the beginning of Vincent Price's great second career, which is just righteous and positive. Remember that?
Oh, my God. I had completely forgot because I haven't listened to it for ages, but now I'm going to have to. My issue is that one of my favorite albums of all time didn't come till the 90s. So when you said 80s, I was like, oh, no, I have to go back. and try and Pat Benatar. Has anybody said Pat Benatar?
No one has, but by the way, Pat Benatar's big album from the 80s is one of the 501 essential albums of the 80s. And here's even better news, Jane. We're going to get Gary Graff on in a couple of weeks again because his other book is called The 501 Essential Albums of the 90s.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to tell you mine first so that no one else will do it, but it's Jagged Little Pill all the way.
Oh, my God.
I am an Alanis Morissette super fan.
Yes.
I love that album. Oh, wait, no, I've got another one.
Go on.
It was Bare Naked Ladies, 80s or 90s?
It's 90s, man.
90s.
No,
Yeah,
did you hear?
okay.
Did you hear about it last week? They had this one freak who sucker punched his whole family. That, by the way, is Weird Al Yankovic's version of 1 Week. He's got one about Jerry Springer.
Okay, one week is not, like, 1 week is fine, but that was not the song. That was not it. It was Gordon.
Gordon is great. Gordon's a great song. By the way,
great. This is me in grade 9. Like, grade 9 is one of the most fabulous songs because it is great. Well, so we call it grade. In Canada, we do it backwards. We call it grade 9, grade 10. We don't say 9th or 10th. Well, we do, but normally it's grade 9. So This Is Me in grade 9 was like in the 80s, in grade 9, that was the experience.
oh, I got to tell you.
That song.
By the way, let me just tell you something else, too. One of the most romantic lines of all time is from the Bare Naked Ladies. Custom field cuts through my neighborhood. What is it? We will put a square... God, how does he put it? To light up the... I can't think of it. It's in my front yard, the one about lighting the light bulb up in his hand so that he can see his girlfriend's face better. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, that wasn't my old apartment or the old apartment, is it? Can't remember.
She's got good taste.
We're gonna figure it out. But Dre had something he wanted to add really quickly. Go ahead, Phone Man.
Look, I'm gonna let you do your thing because we got stuff to talk about. But I gotta add 2 now. Jimmy, was that cover of Public Enemy? Was that Bare Naked Ladies?
That's Bare Naked Ladies. That's from the Conehead soundtrack.
Brother and sister.
Have you ever heard that, Jane? By the way, the Bare Naked Ladies do a cover of Public Enemy's "Fight the Power." You ever heard that?
Power.
Yes, I've heard. I think I've heard. Like, I'm a good Canadian. I think I've heard every Bare Naked Lady song ever recorded, and have seen them live. So, I saw them live like, oh God, 2 decades ago. But they're fun. Good
Canadian that you are. By the way, John Elliott is still on a mission to get the Bare Naked Ladies to play some conference in America that he attends. I kid you not. I kid you not. And he came real close.
He can't.
Well, they came.
I didn't think they were that difficult to get.
No, they're not. But he came really close. He gets outvoted, is what happens. It's not that he can't get them. Is that there are people who are like, no, we want to hear, somebody else hipper and newer and all that kind of stuff. And we're like, man, come on, give us a break. Let's get some Bare Naked Ladies going on here. Naked.
No, they're fun.
They're the best.
Fun.
They're the best.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got to actually talk about the stuff we talk about here. It's groovy, and we get it. I know all the kind of education stuff. I wanted to first ask you though, over at Carrier's Edge, what do you guys got going on right now? What's cooking with your booking? What's happening with you?
Well, what we've had to focus on is a little bit of a redirect because we weren't planning on this, but we have been doing a lot of work with the English language proficiency, the new out-of-service rules. If you are a driver and you're at an inspection station and it seems like you can't speak English, then you can be put out of service. So this English language rule has been on the books forever, but it hasn't been enforced since about 2016. And because it's going to be enforced now, we have been trying to figure out how to help our customers and, basically the general industry, figure out what to do, because there's a lot of people with varying stages of English or varying levels. And how do you figure out how well someone is going to do at an inspection, at a weigh station, if they're in this situation?
Yeah, and to kind of take a little bit of a detour in this conversation, I was kind of wondering if you have thoughts, and I've been dying to have this conversation with somebody, so guess what? You're the victim of it. Does it behoove? And by the way, guys, let me make this really clear. Jane and I are making this really clear right now. We're talking about people are here legally, people are here under the auspices of having done everything right, and their English ain't so good. See what I did there?
Well, there's another group who are the French Canadians who are traveling into the U.S., who've been doing this forever and are doing it legal. Like, this is all very legal. Like, it's not an issue. It's just that the U.S. has not been enforcing this. It is a rule. Like, I have to tell you, it is a rule that has been on. Like,
it's
you're
there.
supposed to speak English. It's there, but people have not. Like, CVSA has not enforced it because in 2016 they decided it wasn't really a safety issue, and now that thinking has changed. But it's not. This is not illegal. This is definitely not illegal. Immigrants or anything like that. This is people who have Canadian CDLs, Mexican CDLs, and they're allowed to be in the States to do, to do commerce.
But here's the thing is, though, they can actually be here, and they're not going to give them as much grief if they don't engage in cabotage. The biggest issue, and I have, like I said, I got a few teeth in my head and a few friends downtown. One of the reasons for the lack of enforcement in 2016 was the lack of objectivity of the enforcement. Now, there's a much more complex conversation about all the kind of permutations about what made that decision in 2016 happen. Very, very complicated. But what is important, though, and I'm kind of curious about, does it behoove institutions that are training people now? Does it behoove companies that are engaged in training, if in fact you have folks working for you who actually have problems with that, or to actually take a step up education-wise and do it? And to be like, let's talk about proficiency as opposed to fluency. Because here's the thing. Nobody's asking anybody to read the 1,288-word periodless paragraph that Faulkner created for A Light in August. People are basically saying, can you master the English language enough to understand? And actually, a really good case was made to be earlier by somebody on the previous platform who said, look, if in fact you're in 4-lane traffic and you're under stress and your English is not up to pace, you might miss an exit or you might cause an accident by not being able to kind of read the signs rapidly, because the rapid of the reading of the signs is really one of the biggest things a truck driver has to do to maintain safety, because a lot of people will panic at that point. What do we do from an education standpoint to make sure that the folks who are in good standing, the people coming across from Mexico, the people coming across from Canada, how do we make sure that they're at a place where, and I'm talking about the legitimate people, the people who should be here, how do we make sure that they have that proficiency down? What is the education solution to that? Sorry, you're the first one. Practice.
It's crazy, but it's like playing your scales. You want to play the piano, you practice. You want to learn, you want to get better at something, you practice. But what the carriers can do is, and what we've done is we've created a tool that you can assess someone's level, like their ability to understand spoken English and actually recognize signs, and see how see what their reading level is like. And so you can do an online assessment. That's not that difficult. You can give people pictures of different signs. I found some doozies. There's some crazy signs. You think when you're fluent in English, you don't realize how in depth the signs are. Sometimes they have two directions on them at once. So sometimes there's a decision that you have to make by reading the sign, and you have to do it really quickly. Do you have how if you say that vehicles over a certain weight exit this way, well, do you know how to read that? Do you know what your weight is, and do you know what the direction is? So there are sometimes multiple things going on. So the first thing that you can do, if you don't, because what I think is either you know very well or you don't know. So the first thing is to get an idea of what's going on, what is the English proficiency in my fleet. And you can do this with a test. You could also do it by talking to them and going through mock inspections. That's not a big, I don't think you can do a couple of things if you do mock inspections. You can connect with every driver. So any driver who's coming in through the yard, or you can schedule them in. As they come in, pretend you're at a way station and go through what happens. Do a little interview, show them some of the signs. You can do that in a classroom. You can do it one-on-one. but it doesn't have to take very long. But you will see very, very quickly who's having issues and who isn't, if you don't already know. And if you do already know, then you're practicing. Give them cue cards, not to use with inspections, but give them cue cards so that they can practice and then practice and then practice. Don't give them online training, because online training is not, it's very, online training isn't going to give them that human-to-human practice. You need human-to-human practice. And the last point that I want to make is that the reason you need the human-to-human practice is so that they're in the situation and they can calm down about it. Because people are very freaked out. Like people who are concerned about their English skills, who are concerned about their accents, are now at a very high level of anxiety. And their carriers don't know what to do, and so they're not getting any help from there. People are not giving, there's not a lot of things there's not a prescribed list of things that you can do. You either speak English or you don't speak English. So if you give people the opportunity to practice and give them practice with an English speaker who might, who could pretend to be horrible to you at a way station, then that, people's, as you practice, your confidence increases.
I'm laughing because I have this big idea of like training somebody being like this. Where are you going? What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Just to have somebody question them belligerently at high speed and to see if they can actually respond in real time. And I'm only being half funny. The other big reason it's important to learn.
That's exactly what you should do. You can do that. I wouldn't do that with someone who is, who is kind of on the edge or whatever, or who can't handle it. But do the worst that it can possibly be. And then when you get a perfectly nice inspector, it'll be fine.
Which most of them are, by the way. The other big reason it's important to master English, guys, is that means you can head over to youtube.com and go to Radio Nemo and figure out how to subscribe as quickly as possible. Because, Jane, we are 8 subscribers away from 800 subscribers. About 2 weeks ago, we were like at 300. We are rapidly picking up pace here. So we want to remind people that we are 8 away, brothers and sisters, as part of the RGR. Jane, by the way, is not a member of the Resistance. We don't talk about the Resistance. The sly brown fox did not jump over the lazy road dog. That didn't happen at all. We brought the brothers and sisters back in, of course, because of the Bare Naked Ladies cover of Public Enemy's Fight the Power, which is what we're trying to do over here. Okay, so this is like a really kind of great approach to training. The idea is it's immersive. I mean, we want to create the environment for what I would not immersive fluency, but immersive proficiency is a way to kind of talk about this, right? I mean, that's the model.
Yes, I like that.
So it's immersive proficiency, and the idea is that now I tell this to people all the time, Jane. Anybody wants to learn a foreign language after you get the foundations done. As you know, Claire has had experience speaking French, can speak French. One of the things that Claire does is we will watch popular French television shows. And one of the things that's important to do is that there are people, Lindsay loves Friends. I can't tell you the number of Europeans I've met who learn their English from watching either Baywatch or Friends.
Yes, someone on my team, actually, our French translator, it's the same thing. She watched, was it Friends? I think it might have been. She was watching TV, and I think that a lot of American television has helped people learn English over the years, for sure.
Well,
that's actually a great thing, because it's true. Even if you use the subtitles. Have the subtitles on, but be listening in another language.
It's amazing. I actually have friends of mine who, in their attempts to learn German and French, would watch the films with the subtitles all the time, never stop watching. And then one of my friends, I kid you not, was watching a German show, forgot to turn the subtitles on, and did not realize it until an argument broke out. And he had a heck of a time keeping up at that point. He's like, wait, why can't I understand what? Oh, because I don't have the subtitles. He had gotten so used to kind of being able to hear the back and forth stuff that he had slowly but surely begun to grasp what was going on. The other big thing is, too, we don't have magazine culture anymore, and the internet has all kinds of strangeness. But there was a time when they would tell people to wake up and just get like People, Newsweek, and Time, and just read them. Because the thing is, I don't know if you know this, but there are a lot of mainstream magazines that are written for a sixth grade education. And that's what most people don't understand, that in order to be fluent in English, I'm talking about being able to speak it really well, you only have to have a sixth grade reading level, because it's only after sixth grade that you start blowing jazz, complex sentences, all that kind of stuff. They always say that an eighth grade reading level is the ability to read Edgar Allan Poe, but only because of his vocabulary. Isn't that cool?
Yes. And if you can, and actually reading trucking magazines as well. I mean, they are not, it seems like they're written for a higher grade level, but that's because there's a lot of technical language. But a lot of that technical language is language that people are using even when they don't speak English that well.
I'll tell you this, too, though, and this is a shameless plug for our friends at Landline, their magazine and their online stuff. They really work in old-time, what I call Kansas City Star, sort of newspaper stuff, that Hemingway sort of quality, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That really clean lead, really declarative sentences, really break things down into kind of basic, clear paragraphs. Any sort of really well-run newspaper or well-run trade magazine is going to give you two advantages as a trucker. One, it's going to give you the simple King's English done clearly, but you're right, it also gives you those technological terms that you're going to have to know eventually if you're going to really do this job.
And one of the things, Truck News in Canada actually has, it covers a lot of U.S. news as well, but it's primarily Canada right now. But they also have there's French and Punjabi as well. They have different languages. In Canada, you tend to have the option for different languages a lot more easily.
Let me ask you something. I want to ask you about Canada for a second. What is the multilingual fluency in regards to people over in Quebec? How good are the people who speak English at speaking French, the people who speak French at speaking English? Do you have a lot of people who are multilingual?
It depends on where you are. If you're in more of the urban areas like, Ottawa is actually in Ontario, but it's very close to Quebec. But Montreal is you can function in English pretty well there. Like you're not going to have that much of an issue. What happens is, and this is probably true of anywhere, but as you go out into more rural areas, that's when there's less and less English. So you have people who are in, like, Quebec's a really big province. And if you go, closer to the Maritimes, so if you go east, then there's more French and more, like, you can function in English there, but there's a lot of people who don't speak it, or I think they may know more English than they think.
Oh,
they
yeah,
do, but
that
they
used to be
don't
like that.
Function in English.
That used to be Acadiana in Louisiana, where it's not that anymore.
Same people.
It used to be that way, where it kind of be like, we can speak English. Good luck to you, because that ain't what's going down, and that ain't what's happening. If you're gonna put the screws to us, we're gonna put the screws to you. There's that kind of mentality that kind of plays out there, and I can't say I always blame them, to be honest with you. That's not always.
When you're in Canada, you kind of get it's a bilingual country, right? And it's a very different feeling than when you only have one official language. Two official languages, you're given French every day. You go to the store, there's French. You can turn on a TV station that's French. We have we have tons of French TV stations. The CBC is Radio Canada in the French language version. So there's French everywhere, and we all know a basic amount of French. We're, like, some of us more than others. If you can basically understand really simple conversations. So there is more of a respect for French. It's not like it's we understand that people in Quebec speak French. Or people in New Brunswick. There's a lot of bilingual people in in New Brunswick, and it's actually an advantage because you're going to get a much better government job if you speak French, for sure.
Really quickly, Jane, I have to kind of take care of this. I have to do this for God and Country here really quickly. Just kind of give a shout out to our friends from Shady Rays. Speaking of being cool, their lost and broken protection plan, their free returns and exchanges, and the best in personal and fast support. Shady Rays has got your back at shadyrays.com. Oh, this is a dumb question, but we talked about it yesterday in Highway to Health. Are you a migraine sufferer?
No, that is the one thing I do not have.
Oh, my God, fantastic.
Everything else I have.
Yeah, by the way, I used to get them for like the better part of 2.5 decades, and then I just aged out of them. Claire has them so bad she has to actually do shots in her legs, and actually it turned out that Botox is really effective against it too. People are wearing sunglasses. All right, Jane, I've done my bit for God and Country here. Tell people where they can go to find out more about Carrier's Edge, and tell us where you're headed next.
Well, we are at carriersedge.com if you're interested in our online driver training platform. We also, if you're interested in the webinar that I just talked about, you can go to carriersedge.com and take a look at our webinars or sign up for our newsletter. And where am I going next?
Where are you going next?
I don't know. Where am I going next? I'm going to be kind of stuck at home, but we're working on a massive air brakes package where we're taking the CVSA has an air brakes course, and we've taken it and adapted it so we have it's a huge number of titles, and that's what we've been working on.
By the way, you should also keep July 23rd. You and Mark should come down to New Orleans for the grand ribbon cutting over here at the FASTPORT studios in the city of New Orleans. By the way, you should do that.
I would really like to do that. I'd really like to do that, so I'm keeping my options open.
Jane, welcome to the first edition of Education Station. Thank you for christening it.
It's an honor. It's an honor.
Hashtag.
Thank you so much for having me.
You got it. Hashtag RGR, by the way. And Jane, you can't actually do the biscuits and gravy challenge, but I know somebody listening right now is going to do our biscuits and gravy challenge. Keep the resistance going, Jane. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Hey, guys, it is Road Gang Radio. You can find us at radionemo.com. You can find us on iHeartRadio. You can find us at on radionemo.com by simply going over there and hitting that play button. You can find us on the Tube of You by simply going over there, hitting that play button. Make sure you subscribe. We're getting closer and closer to 800 subscribers. Last time I checked, it was 792. It should be Mr. Mojo rising. Got to keep on rising. When we come back on the other side of this, I'm going to have a sports report. You know, you get the idea. But more importantly, I'm going to have Lindsay Lawler, because the second half of Road Gang Radio, hosted by Jimmy Mack and Lindsay Lawler, will be coming at you live from the FASTPORT studio and in the great state of Tennessee, where they're doing the Tennessee Waltz. We'll be right back after Dre plays this music and some sponsors.